very bad feeling about this.
So, there's been a lot more information released about the Veilguard since the last video I made about it 3 months ago. And just like I did with Anthem, I'd like to make one more summary video about my thoughts before the actual game comes out, and make my own speculation and predictions about what I expect is going to happen here. I had some concerns about Anthem, and I also have concerns about Veilguard. There's been quite a bit of, unlike Anthem, there's actually a lot more controversy this time around. So it's coming in, interestingly enough, in a much tighter position than even Anthem had. And that game did not succeed. It still sold well. The advantage here is that this is not a live service. So it only needs to sell once. Once somebody goes beyond the refund window, then that sale is completed.
Gotcha, bitch!
It doesn't have to, have recurring player retention like Anthem. So the success criteria is a bit easier. However, there still has been a lot of controversy, from the character creator and its limited options to introducing controversial options for selection. The look of the Kunari is definitely one that I really do not like.
Oh my god! What's wrong with your face?
There's been the issue with the combat looking strange. I've seen a video that classifies all the classes. I haven't seen a single one of these classes that I personally want to play. The environment looks pretty good, and that bloom effect, I don't mind it. I dislike the UI very much.
I got a bad feeling about this.
And I've been watching all of this stuff, and the conclusion I've drawn from everything that I've seen is that, and this is my speculation just, I think BioWare is going to try and reboot this series. That's how I'm feeling. Let me explain. When you put everything together, right, from the changed art style, the change in art style, the change in combat, the change in tone, there's been a lot of that focus on vapid shit, especially things to do with like romance and whatnot. The whole thing looks clean. They seem to have changed the source of the blight and where the darkspawn come from. It's almost like they're taking lots of creative liberties. Basically, they've done away with blood magic. They've done away with. I don't think there'll be Templars this time. Now, I did get a good explanation from someone that it's the winter. It's in north. There's not likely to be any Templars. So I'm like, okay, but I bet we won't see the Chantry either. I think basically any of the elements that current BioWare don't want to deal with, they seem to be sanded out of the game, essentially. They seem to have just removed them from the series and are going forward without them. Which I guess is well within their rights. It is their game. But it's rather interesting to see, and I don't know if the fans are going to like it. The final nail in the coffin for me was this business of, recently, this has been the most recent reveal. It was actually saved for after the previews. You carry over only 3 data points from the previous games, and all of them are from Inquisition.
I have a bad feeling about this.
One is, and let me tell you how I feel about these 3 data points. One is who the Inquisitor romanced. I don't know why this, like, if you had only 3 data points to carry forward, why would something this vapid and stupid be the first one you carry forward? Like, I hate that. I just hate that seems to be the priority for this game. I really do not like that. I wish that could be replaced with something a bit more relevant to the lore of the world. The second one is whether you kept the Inquisition going or chose to close it. That's good. I really like that one. I think that's the best one they've kept. And then the third one is whether you chose to, at the end of the game, you get to choose to tell Solas that you're going to stop him or you're going to save him. And okay, I guess that one's fine. I think that one's a good one. But if you have to choose only 3, that's not the one that I would have chosen personally. I would have gone with things like the Well of Sorrows, who chose to, like, who drank out of the Well of Sorrows. That seemed like a pretty big deal. Who was the divine? I think that should have been carried forward. It was a pretty big decision that you make in Inquisition. I would have liked to carry forward things like, I don't know, things like whether Blackwell lived or died, whether you kept him or got him arrested. I think I would like that. Each of those characters had one way or another to go in terms of personality, the companions in the Inquisition. I would have loved for you to be able to choose which personality they went with and then have that come forward into this game. I don't know. The team said that they don't want to have to do a lot of cameos, which is what furthers my belief that they're going to try and reboot this series. They seem to have chosen who they want to move forward with. We already see Morrigan is one of them. I actually wish we could have chosen whether or not Morrigan had the son to begin with. You know, whether she's romancing the hero of Ferelden and whether they walked away into the Illuvian together at the end of, what was that DLC called? One of the DLCs in Origins. Sorry, the name is spacing out on me right now. But I feel like these kinds of things are way more important to players than who the Inquisitor romance. Well, I actually can't believe that's genuinely like something they're taking seriously as the topmost option that you need to choose. I really don't like that.
I have a bad feeling about this.
And the way I'm looking at this, I feel like if they had kept the priorities, straight, there should be a lot more data points. Actually, I believe that the biggest issue here is that they haven't carried over enough data points, and the ones they've carried over seem like the most vapid stuff you could carry over. At least, especially that one about romancing. Also from the redesigns, the redesigns of the Qunari, the way that they are treating the Antivan Crows. There was that whole part where they talk about how the Antivan Crows leave purple symbols in the city for people to find them.
And simply follow the game's guidance, or turn it off and look for clues in the environment to follow. In this case, the crow's purple symbol painted on certain walls.
Another mark this way.
That shit just made me roll my eyes. First of all, why would the crows leave symbols around for people to find them? Like, these are assassins. They are not some kind of stupid kids club. Why would they leave symbols painted in public that people can use to find them? It's a mechanic that makes it feel more like a video game than it does like a real world. And also the signs are purple. Like, they leave the signs in purple paint. Like, I know that for some reason this design motif for this game is obsessed with purple, right?
I have a bad feeling about this.
You can see like purple shit glowing everywhere. All the interfaces have purple on them, from the menus to the quest notifications to the background when you're selecting anything. There's just purple everywhere, and it's so hideous. So I guess the Antivan Crows also had to be given purple. God, it's stupid. Anyway, personally, I'll be checking the game out, but because I don't trust how it's going to be, I'm buying it on EA. What do they call it? EA Play Pro. The same way I did for Anthem, basically. I just have a bad feeling about this, and I don't think it's worth paying full price for. Like, what I've seen so far doesn't feel like a full price purchase. Because if we're carrying forward only 3 data points, then why is the game so long? The team has revealed that the single player experience is 40 hours. I'm like, okay. If 40 hours is one playthrough, then that means that there's going to have to be a lot of events happening. Because remember, most of the open world stuff has been removed. So if this is 40 hours of one single player playthrough, then that means there is a lot going on within this game that has nothing to do with anything we did in the past. Or they're just going to pull an Andromeda and just basically decide what the canon options are for all our previous events, and then just dictate essentially which events happened and which ones did not. And that may be okay for some people, but for me it's not. This has always been a choice-based series, and I would honestly rather that you let us carry forward most of our choices, especially if you're going to bring back the keep. Then why even bother? That's actually my whole issue. At this point, with everything I've seen, I kind of wish that they would just do away with the whole facade of making choices. Just make Rook a specific person. Like, just make it one character, and let's just tell their story. As I've said in the past, I don't feel like BioWare wants to make these types of games. I genuinely don't think that they do. And that's another thing about my approach to Inquisition. My approach to Veilguard. I don't think BioWare wants to make this game. I think they're just forced to. We all know that the game was supposed to be a live service game. They only pivoted because Anthem bombed. So they kind of had no choice. They were not going to again try and present another live service. It's way too much of a risk. So just out of a panic move, we got this game. And I always feel negatively if I know that what I'm receiving is sort of a hand-me-down. It's not really what the original creator wanted to make. And then also the fact that we've known from the beginning, if you've been following BioWare all these years, and I've parroted this many times in my videos, that BioWare don't want to make these types of games they've been making and that they used to make, especially on the Dragon Age side, and they do not want to appeal to the original fan base. That you can see with how much they've sanded down everything. This started with a bit in Dragon Age 2, but you could really see it in Inquisition. They really wanted to sand away like the edges of this franchise, and this time they just went full. Like they just went deep with this. They decided to basically change the art style and the whole tone of the franchise. They don't want to make anything that feels like Dragon Age Origins, which is unfortunate because Dragon Age Origins is the only reason they even have the ability to make these games. Same thing with like Mass Effect. I don't know. I sometimes feel bad for them, you know. It feels to me like the team genuinely wants to do something else, but they can't. They are bound to this. They kind of have no choice. This is what the customers want, and they do not want to make it themselves. At this point, I feel like the best thing to do would just get people who do want to make these types of games. I mean, you could hand this off to a team that wants to do it. I mean, I bet Larian Studios could make this work. I mean, they already basically made Baldur's Gate 3, which BioWare started. I'm sure they can do Dragon Age 5 as well. And they seem to actually want to do this type of work. Then BioWare can go and do whatever live service, whatever they want. Anyway, that's enough speculation for now. I guess we'll see what happens when the game comes out, but as I've said, I've got a bad feeling about this one. I'm going to wait and see when it comes out. I'll play through it myself. Unfortunately, the backlog is heavy, so if I'm not invested by Act 1, there is a chance I'm not finishing this one. Nothing that they've shown so far convinces me, so it has to be the story. If the story is really, really good, then yeah, I'll definitely stick it out. But if it's not, then yeah, just like with Valhalla for Assassin's Creed, I might have to just give this one up and let the series rest. I guess we'll see. Thanks for listening, if you did.
I've got a bad feeling about this.